Okay, I'm back, and here is my answers to the questionnaire. My favorite car I ever owned. My favorite car that I ever owned was a 1966 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 396. The SS stood for Super Sport. So a 1966 Chevelle SS 396 was the size of the engine, 396 cubic inches of muscle. And I was a senior in high school when I owned that, so it's been a long time ago, but that was my favorite car. It was marina blue, had very small red pinstripes, it had a black carpeting, but white bucket seats, white in all the leather, the headliner, everything else was white, and it had a Hurst mystery shifter in it on the floor. It was a 3-speed, 3 forward speeds and 1 reverse, and it had Krager mags, slicks, and it had a Craig Pioneer 8-track tape deck in it, and that car was my favorite car by far that I've ever owned. I love that car, and I should never have gotten rid of it. I'm sorry that I did. Okay, how do you feel about mid-engine cars? Really, I don't know a lot about mid-engine cars. I've never had one. I've had 2 vehicles that had rear engines. I had a Volkswagen van with a rear engine, and I had a Fiat Spider convertible, an old one, and it had a rear engine. But mid-engine, not exactly sure what that means. I guess the engine's right in there in the middle of the car. So I'm not an expert on mid-engine cars, so I don't have any strong feelings either way. I'd try one. Hey, why not? Most surprising car fact that I know, the most surprising car fact that I know is, and my son told me this, is he's got a diesel truck. He said diesel engines, and they're in everything. They're in big trucks, big 18-wheelers. They're in Mercedes-Benz as diesels. They will go, if you take care of them, well over 1 million miles. Is nothing for a diesel car, like a Mercedes diesel. 1 million miles, and that's to me, that's the most surprising car fact that I know. There's probably more, but that's the one that's the most surprising to me. Most interesting thing that's ever happened to me in a car, and why? The most interesting thing that's ever happened to me in a car is when I met my wife, whom she's sitting there with the camera right now. And we've been together 50 years, last year, 19. But she was sitting in a 1965 yellow Ford Falcon convertible and looking gorgeous, and I just had to introduce myself to her. So I walked up to that car. She was sitting there with her girlfriend, and the most interesting thing that's happened to me in a car. I wasn't actually sitting in the car, but I met her. She was sitting in the car, and then we dated in my Chevelle. So the most interesting things that's happened has been my wife in the car, and we're still married. We've been together since 1969. We have 8 grandkids, and life's been good. And thank you for considering me.